Welcome to the Awaken Life podcast. I'm John, this is Chris, and we're excited today because we're going to jump into how to live a life with purpose, passion, and power.
So what today is all about is linking movement with meditation, with manifestation, and seeing how they relate to each other and how to apply these in your life. Also, there are two missing ingredients that will help you take your dreams and make them into reality. That's what we're sharing with you today. We're super excited. All right, welcome to day 5 of the yoga immersion. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for showing up and for just being a part of this offering. And we couldn't be more excited. Here we are on the final day. And so before I jump into kind of the recap and what's next and all the stuff that we want to talk about today, I want to just talk it's a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to be changing the structure, the way we're doing live classes. And the reason is so if you don't know, some of you are local and you know that, John and I, we own Hot House Yoga. There's 2 yoga studios. And in early March, late February, early March is when the coronavirus started. We're actually in Costa Rica fulfilling a retreat, and we heard it was starting to get bigger, and we came home on a Sunday. On that Tuesday was the last day of classes, and we shut down at that point. It was mandatory shutdown a week later, but we just knew that it was the right call to help people. And it's, devastated our business, quite obviously. But over the past 5 years, we've been kind of dreaming about what an online experience would look like. And so when we closed the studios down on the Wednesday was the first day that we're actually closed, that same day we started live streaming. And literally we were flying by the seat of our pants. We had no idea what we were doing. We were just listen, all I know to do is to teach. And we can't teach in the studios and we're not open. So what can we do? So we went online. And then immediately, I don't know structure. I don't know how we're going to compartmentalize what we're going to do. And so listen, let's give live classes to everyone. And John and I, we've been busting our hump doing 2 live classes a day and live class on Saturday and Sunday for over the last 5 weeks. And so what we're now, as we kind of have settled into the routine and we've started building the community online, what we realized is that we just needed to make some adjustments. And so what we're doing going forward, and this is going to be this coming week is all going to be the same, but the first week in May is when we're going to start making these changes. And the changes are, if you're a free member, and that means if you're a part of our Yaks Yoga Lab Facebook community as a free member and you're there and just being a part of the community, we love you and we thank you. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be offering free classes to everyone who's a free member inside that community 5 days a week. So Monday through Friday, 1 class. It'll be the 4 o'clock class every single day, Monday through Friday. And all of our paying members, we're going to be continuing to do the 2 classes a day, Monday through Friday, and then the live class on Saturday and the live class on Sunday. And so what we're really trying to do is just try to figure out how our online business looks. I mean, this is John and I's livelihood, and we want to be of help. We know people need it and know how valuable yoga is, but we also have to look at how we can serve better and the people that are in our community as free members, the people that are in our community as paying members. And so that's what's going to happen going forward. Again, this coming week, I'll be sending out links to the classes. It's going to be the same. We'll be doing 2 classes a day all through next week, and then a class on Saturday, class on Sunday. I just want to give you the heads up that that's kind of what's coming. Okay, so here we go. This is what I really want to talk about. Day 5. Day 5 is all about bringing it together. How do we make that dream life a reality? And so when John and I sat down, and it was the beginning of the inception of what we were doing with this 5-day immersion. The cornerstone of it was we want to teach the truth, the untold secrets about what yoga really is, right? Especially as everyone started pivoting online. It was just class after class after class. And what we were building this momentum to start teaching this in our live trainings. And then the coronavirus hit and we're out. So we're okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a live immersion and we're going to tell everyone the truth because people need to know the real value. I feel like most people who practice yoga are sitting on the top of this iceberg, right? And then there's so much beneath the water. And we wanted to dive in deep and tell you about that. So that's what we're going to talk about. So if I recap, day 1, what was happening is we're looking at what's this? It seems like this contradiction of being and becoming. And what yoga seeks to remedy is that contradiction. They seem like they're competitive. Like, wait, because being, and this is what I talked about in day one, was being is this experiencing your truth as a birthright of you being alive, that you're whole, that you're complete, that like literally the substance of your being is love. And the access point to that is through surrender and through acceptance and contentment. And at the same time, we have this other aspect of becoming, where we're striving to be better people, to learn more information, to make tomorrow better than today, to keep walking in the direction of our dreams, to expand our capacity. And so when you look at it for the face value, and this is what like the lie about it all is that, wait, they don't contradict each other. They actually support each other. And so then we broke it down, and what we really started focusing on day 2 with movement was the Awaken Life formula. And so what the Awaken Life formula are the 3 core pillars of what yoga actually is. And John talked about movement and how most people in the yoga world think movement, as far as on our mats, should end up looking like gymnastics. And here's what I'll tell you. You don't see any 40, 50, or 60-year-old gymnasts. You don't, because it's not sustainable. The way we approach movement is twofold. One, we're looking to be healthy at 100. If I am gifted with life to be 100, if I am still drawing breath when I'm 100, I want my body to be able to stand the test of time. So the way we approach the practice and what John talked about through how we're the same and how we're different, the myofascial methodology that we use, that's the way the body's designed to move, and how we're all different, how the way that stuff is made up inside of us, how it's put together is completely unique to you. Like, how fascinating was that? It's so cool because it's really the truth. We are all the same, but we are all different, right? And and understanding that is the key to making sure that our practice is supporting us and helping us in our lives. And here's the other thing. If we're in pain, but we're looking to do gymnastics, it's not going to heal us. But if we're in pain, we're also not thinking about what our future looks like. Literally, it's day by day survival. Like, all I want is to be out of this pain, low back pain, or if you have issues with your hips or knees, right? The first thing we have to focus on is this temple that we have called our bodies. And this is why we approach the practice, the movement, the way we do. Now, here's what the real secret is. So we do that. That's our physical practice. That keeps us, healthy at 100. It keeps reclaiming lost youth. As we age, we get younger. But what it's really doing is it's also allowing us to change our state. So we move to support meditation. And this is what I really want to hammer home today is each one individually is cool. It's good. But when you put the 3 together and actually see the sequence of events that happens and how they support each other, that's when life really takes off. And so we move for the health and the well-being of our bodies to stay young. We also move to meditate. And that was day 3, meditation. This is what actually yoga is. If you take, we talked about the origin story, about when it started, it wasn't up dogs and down dogs. There were no handstands. Imagine people were doing it, but they didn't call it yoga. They were like, that's probably gymnastics. I actually have no idea, 6,000 years ago. It was meditation. If you look at all the books, the very beginning books, the oldest texts of it, it was all about meditation. And so what is meditation? So we talked about it. And yes, it's designed to stress relief. And that's it is a stress relieving thing, but not in the way people think. And what I talked about was what's really going on is we have these old brains. And these old brains that are, their number one priority is survival, is forcing this negativity bias. So if you've ever thought man, I just feel like such a Debbie Downer. Everything I look at, I'm always like, man, this is going to end soon. Or if something's happening, I'm like, oh yeah, of course this is happening. And when I project out, I'm always having this conflicts and arguments in my brain, the simulation. You're like everyone else. You're not unique in that way. We all do, and it's because of our evolution. That's what was so important for me to articulate. Is listen, your crazy is my crazy. It's all of our crazy. And so the process of meditation, what it's doing is it's helping us to reframe our identity, right? Our identity and what it means, who am I and how does it feel to be me? And I'd give those 4 boxes. You remember that? The 4 boxes, the identity and then the experience, right? Identity is who I am or who I think I am, really. And then the experience is we perceive it as positive, negative, or neutral. We lump every experience into 3 buckets. Now, your identity influences the the experience, your experience, then because you don't like it or you love it or you're just ignoring it, you start telling stories to yourself. And this is what's so important. I wanted to say this because the stories in that bottom right corner, they support our beliefs, which was this corner box. The stories that we're telling ourselves are the way we hack into our beliefs, how we're viewing, what we believe is true about the world, what we believe is true about us and our potential and who we are, which then, when you have a belief long enough, it becomes, this is just who I am. Have you ever said that to yourself? This is just who I am. I wake up in the morning. I'm kind of an asshole until I get my coffee. Just who I am. Let me ask you a question. Did you always drink coffee? When you were 5 years old and you wake up, were you an asshole then? Most likely not. So what we've done is we've patterned ourselves. These subconscious patterns from these actions that we're taking over and over again formed our beliefs, and our beliefs form our identity. And then at that point, we're like, this is just who I am. So then the question is, how do we break through that? To break through that through the stories, we've got to hack into our stories and understand, are they empowering or disempowering? Okay, now that's meditation. What is the value of meditation? Is that it brings us to manifestation in very specific ways. John talked about focus equals feeling. Now think about this. Think about what I talked about in meditation and how we're telling ourselves all these stories, and that because of our evolution, those stories tend to be negative. And if they're negative here, how do you think that makes you feel here? Right? You feel down. You feel sad. You feel angry. Right? You feel upset. There was a morning I woke up and it was a really busy morning. Like it was going to be a busy day. So immediately I woke up and my brain just started focusing on all the stuff that had to be done. And all of a sudden I was anxious. And like when I get that way, I get very internalized, and I don't look up, and I'm very like to myself. And my wife got up and she was like, hey, how you doing? Hello, hi. And I was like, oh, hey, what's going on? She was like, what's going on? Like, what happened? Why are you? She knows, we've been together long enough. She knows. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Just give me a minute. And I had to stop, and I reflected just on the last 10 minutes. And I realized nothing had happened. Nothing had happened. It was just what I was focusing on. And that focus creates that feeling, and our feeling creates our reality. John talked about it as RAS receptors. So we prime the brain to say, hey brain, I want you to focus on this today. I just spilled my coffee. It's going to be a shitty day. I want you to focus on everything in my day that reaffirms that it's a pretty bad day. And all of a sudden your brain's like, cool, let me show you what's significant about your environment that affirms that it's a bad day. And these are the feedback loops. This is when John went into, we have this potential here, and we have these actions here, and the results here, and then our beliefs here that create the feedback loop of how we manifest things. And it can be a downward one. If you believe that you're unlucky in love, like I did for years, my potential to find the person that I want to be with in my life is way low. The actions that I take to find that person, way low. I'm cutting a leg off before I run the marathon. And then guess what? The results I get, they're born from the actions, which are born from the potential, which is born from the beliefs. And it becomes this reinforcing feedback loop. And then so how do we flip that? And this is when we go back to meditation, where we begin to visualize. Now, you might ask the question, what am I visualizing, Chris? Well, there's that process of creation that John, I think he did 2 or 3 steps in. And the first is you got to be clear about what you want. Not just what you want, like, because we're chasing symbols, right? I want $1 million, great. But that's the external. What does it mean? What do you want internally? Right? What do you want internally? Why do you want that? Because it's a representation. We're chasing symbols, meaning we don't want the dead presidents on the bills. We want what those represent to us: financial freedom, self-sufficiency, right? Independence. So that is it. And then this is my point, is like, movement to support meditation to support manifestation, because we get clear, we have those self-sabotaging stories that aren't empowering, and we navigate through those and we make them more empowering by changing the meaning of them. And then we take what we want and the process over here of creating that life and understanding what's at stake and who's at stake to make that happen. So we are fueled by heart, fueled by emotion. That's why manifestation is the heart, because it takes heart to go after your dreams. But it's supported by meditation, because we got to focus the mind. We got to focus the mind and then begin to feel it. Even visualization. This is such an important point. if you're feeling and you're seeing the connection, that's what's most important for me right now. You're seeing the connection between movement, between meditation, and between manifestation. You're understanding the Awaken Life formula and how it links together, because that's what's so important right now. So then, think about what visualization is. Visualization is right now, right here, in this moment, bringing your mind, but more importantly, your heart, and feeling, what is it like living that dream life? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it taste and smell like? Who's with me? And what'll happen is you'll visualize, and all of a sudden the brain, it's not interesting enough. I want to focus on something negative. And then you bring it back, because that's what meditation is. And then you get back into it and you feel it. What's happening is you're getting results in advance. That is where the juice is. Getting results in advance in one of two ways. You either visualize it and emotionally, we love affirmations. We love them. But if they stay in here and you don't begin to feel it, you're on top of the iceberg again. You got to feel the emotion, feel the visualization as a reality right now. That meaning you're vibrating energetically on the level of that which you seek. What does it feel like? What does $1 million feel like in my life? What does my daily life look like? What does being with that significant other feel like? Right? Even if I don't have a clear vision of who that person is, which we would suggest you do, what does it feel like on a daily level? What is a day in the life of me being with my soulmate? What is that like? And you just go through the process of feeling it. Your mind gets distracted and you feel it. Some of you are visual and you have to visualize it, but my point is results in advance. And if you can't get results in advance by visualizing it, find someone who is where you are. This is why Roger Bannister is such a freaking pioneer, because he didn't have anyone he could model. He had to bring it into his mind and his heart and make it a reality. Does that make sense? That's the entire Awaken Life formula that John and I have been practicing that has made the biggest difference in our lives. I mean, right now, the lives we live, where I live, and my wife and my house and our children have all been born from this process, deliberately creating our lives, practicing the true essence of what the movement's designed to do. So now at 40, I can do anything I've been doing since I've been 20, meditating so that I'm present and I'm focused and I can live the reality of my dreams. That's how they all link together. Is everyone following me? Because that's step one. You got to have the training, you got to have the knowledge, the understanding of what does it really entail. But that's not it. That's not it. There's another step to this. So, I've been meditating since right around 20 years old. I just turned 40 in March. Horrible time to have a birthday in March of 2020. And what I've learned from my meditation practice is that it only works if you work it. And this is what, I think we all have this kind of belief, and what we really desire is, I wish after this 5 days, all you needed was information. You got it. You know what? That's it. That's true. It's meditation and then manifestation. Let me go live my life. And that's it. And it's not true. Because here's the truth. We're not here for concepts and ideas and knowledge. It's the start point. We're here for the experience. And this is what I mean. In meditation, when I was practicing consistently, where I noticed the changes in my life first were in my relationships. In my relationships, all of a sudden, I'm a very impatient person. As you can tell, I'm kind of fired up most of the time. John will attest to this. He's like, hey, dude, should we do it or not do it? I'm like, do it right now. It should have been on yesterday. And so, patience has been my, biggest cross to bear. And so, what I notice when I'm meditating is that I'm not reacting to the behavior of my children, meaning I'm not yelling, I'm not getting upset, I'm not, thinking they should be doing anything other than what children are naturally designed to do. I'm actually able to listen to my wife. I can hear her, literally hear her, so that it's not what she's saying, but what's embedded behind what she's saying. I have literally empathy. That's one of the 3 benefits that I talked about. I can feel because I understand my experience of living. I'm able to be in her experience of living, and I can relate to her in an honest, authentic, open way. And to be real honest, over the years, I've fallen off my meditation practice. And this is where I see it first, where it comes out first, where I see the ugly head of my impatience is with my children, right? I'm less patient. I'm more reactive. I yell more. I get more upset by little things. I can't hear my wife, literally hear her. Obviously, I'm listening, but I'm not really listening. While she's talking, I'm thinking about what she's saying means to me in my life. I can't relate to her because I'm lost in my own I, me, and mine sense of self. What I learned from those experiences is this. You have to be consistent. John and I call it the law of little things. If you're not doing the work, it's not going to work. So all this is great information, but it's absolutely useless if we're not willing to get on our mats and practice. If we're not willing to get on our meditation cushions and be. If we're not willing to grab our journals and write down, however excruciating, however painful it is, the vision we have of our lives, the things that are holding us back, what's at stake, so we have a really clear reality, an honest truth of where we are right now. None of that works if you're not willing to work it. That's why consistency is the second step in actually making that dream, awakened life a reality. But that's not it either. There's a third thing. The third thing, beyond the trainings, beyond the consistency, is what I learned from being with my brother in this lifetime. You know, when I started martial arts, I was at that time, because it's too long of a story, but because of, I mentioned it a little bit in one of the posts, was like my dad wasn't there, and I feel like there's abandonment, and it made me feel literally like there's a piece of me, that lovable piece that was missing because of that. And so I coped with it for many of my teenage years through drinking, through alcohol, through drugs. And it's not abnormal for teenagers to do that, but the reason I was doing it was different. It wasn't just to like party and have a good time. I was trying to feed something and fill something up with those things that it could never happen. But I formed relationships, right? Because those are the people that were hanging out, doing the things I was doing. And then I started martial arts. And as I started martial arts, I started just a different path. And what I realized was my friend group that was here, they weren't supporting where I wanted to be. And so I had to de-tribe. I had to literally, like, in the real term, unfriend my friends. And it wasn't like a big, like, tumultuous thing. I just stopped calling them, stopped hanging out with them. And then, like, add yoga years later. And it was like anyone who was left was like, dude, you are now, like, off the deep end. We're done. And it was okay, because then it was just another leveling up for me of this new experience for living for me. And then I honestly, I've got like one really good friend, aside from John, in my life that I can like call anytime, and he's here, he lives locally. There's other like acquaintances and friends and stuff. So like obviously I love a lot of people, but I mean like the people I grew up with, the people that like helped me throughout my teenage years. Like I don't really have any of those friends that I communicate with on a daily basis. And it made life hard because we need people to support each other. But here's the good fortune I've had in my life. I've had John. He's been my accountability partner. The person that when I wake up and I know I don't feel like meditating, I don't feel like going in and feel like practicing, I know he is, because that's the type of person he is. And it holds me to a higher standard because I know he's doing it. And I want to stay, not in a competitive, but I want to keep leveling up. It's the people in our tribe, the people that we surround ourselves with that can support us when we fall, that can support us when we don't feel like doing the things we know we should, that can be with us when we succeed and cheer our victories. Accountability is the third aspect. We need the training, yes. We need the consistency, yes. But the third thing is accountability. We need people in our lives who can support us, because this work is not easy. You know from the journaling that you've done, from like being willing to share your story and the support that we've gotten from the other people, how important it is to have a tribe of people, accountability in our lives to keep us on the path. And those are the three things. Does that make sense? Because that's really, really important. You know, you can have the training, that's good. You can have the consistency, get on your mat, that's good. But what happens when we stumble? Like, we need those people in our lives, those champions that help us up, that cheer us on, that are honest with us. Those are the three elements. Now, it's really important. Like, everyone tracking, everyone's good with that. Do you understand? I guess my question is, do you understand how movement, meditation, manifestation link together? And then, if so, then do you understand how, like, it's training, right? We gotta have the knowledge. It's consistency. It's doing the work. But it's also accountability, the support system to keep on the path, to keep accountable to the people that we love in our lives. Because we'll do more when we know other people are doing it than we would do if we think we're by ourselves. You may be feeling a couple different ways right now, because we're getting to the end of this, and we're like, you may be like super excited, like all the journaling. You're like, you know what? Some of you post like, I'm living my dream life. Woo! We are so flippin' thrilled for you. Some of you may be like, oh, I don't know. I'm a little freaked out. I'm like, I've uncovered stuff that I'm not really happy with. Wherever you are, whether it's I'm excited or I'm freaked out, we hope you've enjoyed this 5-day immersion. And if you have questions or thoughts or concerns, please let us know. And we're just so humbled that you chose to be here, that you chose to take the time out of your days to listen to John and I ramble on about what we are so passionate about. And I just want to say thank you from the heart, and I'll thank you for John as well. Thank you from the heart, and we wouldn't be able to do this without you all. So from my heart to yours, we will see you inside, and we just thank you. Big love.